Hello, and welcome to the SaWGuy podcast.
Like scary movies. What's your favorite scary movie?
Here's Johnny.
We'll tear your soul apart.
The boogeyman is real, and you found him.
Game over, man. Game over.
What do you want?
I want to hear you scream. Drop the prime time, bitch!
Welcome to the SaWGuy podcast. As always, I'm the SaWGuy, bringing you episode 14 on the Wishmaster. Some of you may have seen this film, some of you may have not. But the funny thing is, there's actually 4 movies of this. The first 2 were really good, and I'll give it that, because you had the same actor playing the Jinn, or the Wishmaster, right? Part 3 and 4, I believe they were made for sci-fi, and I'm going to talk a little bit about them, not a whole lot, because I need to save those 2 for another episode for about, like, bad sequels, and sequels you should or may not want to see, but we'll get down to the road on that. But anyways, this episode's all about the Wishmaster. And if you've never seen the Wishmaster is a damn good story. And it's a damn good movie. The first one, at least. You know, the second one, yeah. Oh, yeah. It's still okay. Pretty decent. But this is mostly going to be about the first one. And so, without further ado, let's get started, right? So, the first one... So, the question is, what the hell's a Wishmaster? Well, the Wishmaster, he's basically an evil genie, like a demon genie. And it's based off the Persian mythology of the Jinn, which is a real thing. I wanted to do this episode because I'm Middle Eastern, and I've always loved the Persian mythology of all that crazy shit with it. And when I was a kid, they would always tell stories about the Jinn and everything. So I knew about the Jinn before this whole movie came out. And then basically when they made a movie, you know, when you're a kid in the early days, you're just basically like, holy shit, that's real, you know? Yeah, I know. But anyways, the movie Wishmaster, what makes it so special and still holds up is the fact that it was Robert Kurtzman, who does this little show called The Walking Dead. I don't know if you've all ever heard of it. But anyways, this was his first movie. It really showed his chops and what he can offer, right? He was mostly doing makeup and things like that, but then he came up with this idea to do the Wishmaster and this whole story about evil genie, which is pretty cool and a little twisted in a way. And so the whole movie is basically, it opens up with Angus Scrimm, who's basically the tall guy from the Phantasm series, and they do a little narration about who's the Jinn, what is the Jinn, how does it operate, things like that. And it goes into like the old Persian Empire and everything like that. And they show basically how evil he is because the king feeds, well, the Jinn feeds off the corruptions of people. That's basically what the whole thing is with the Jinn. It feeds off the corruptions and basically takes your soul to make it more powerful. And so in the beginning, the king had basically said, show me wonders. So it basically went off all the old school mythologies of people's skeletons walking away from their skin, people turning into lizards. That may not seem scary now, but if you're Middle Eastern and you've been raised on all that crazy shit and things like that, yeah, that's some pretty scary shit. And it's kind of cool how they actually put a wink out there to it. But anyways, the whole story goes is that the Jinn gets defeated or locked away in a jewel because there's a god or a wizard, his name's Ahura Mazda, which is real, actually. They play off of that. And he was a fire god. So what he basically did was built this jewel, and he said, you know, the Persian words in Farsi to go into the jewel. I'm trying to remember what they were. Nith Shugarath Bahim. And that basically means get in the jewel in Farsi. And that was basically the whole beginning. And then it flashes forward into 1,000 years. And basically, you have all these cameos from everybody, all these horror icons. Tony Todd, Kane Hodder, Robert Englund. You see more of Robert Englund in this movie, just because of the fact that he was a collector in the series, and he was collecting all these statues from forgotten gods and things like that. So the movie opens up, and this is how the Jinn breaks out, is that when he was captured, the Jinn, they put him in a statue commemorating of the Ahura Mazda, the fire god. So Robert Englund, 1,000 years later, bought this statue, and when he was getting the statue, something happened Ted Raimi's brother was there. Well, Ted Raimi's brother. Sam Raimi's brother, Ted, he was there. And I guess he was the assistant of Robert Englund. He was getting all pissed. They drop the crate. It smashes him. The statue falls apart in millions of pieces. A worker sees the jewel. You have the djinn that escapes, right? And the whole story follows everything about how the djinn breaks out of the jewel, how he wants his wishes, how he kills people for his wishes. And it's actually really different and unique. And what makes this film stand out is that it's not... it's gory, but... I mean, it builds up more suspense, and it's like, whoa, what the fuck, you know? That kind of thing. That really was. Some of the kills were really unique in it. It was a different film because it was based in 1997, and it was actually presented by Wes Craven. A lot of people forget about that. You know how everyone says, oh, you know, like these new movies, Eli Roth presents Clown, or Wes Craven presents... This was a Wes Craven presents deal kind of thing. And... basically, when they got into the whole story about it, the jewel travels from the worker to a pawn shop to the main character. The main character basically blows on the jewel, rubs it, all that stuff, right? Then she has this relationship with a guy friend. They're not together. He wants her. She don't want him. But she asks him the favor to double check the jewel because something's not right. The jewel breaks up and blows up on him. And then you have the djinn come out. But he comes out as a little tiny person. And which was cool... Because when he comes out as a tiny person, a lot of people don't know this, but it's actually Vern Troyer. Who is he? He was Mini-Me in Austin Powers, which is pretty cool because that was his first gig that he did. And yeah, so the whole story goes that this guy dies because he says he doesn't want to feel the pain anymore. And the Wishmaster twists up people's words because the djinns, they have rules to follow. They can't, you know, do what they aren't supposed to do unless someone says, oh, I like to see this. I like to see that. Is that your wish? Yes. Done. You know? And so, the Wishmaster, or the djinn, he basically, you know, gets his soul, kills him, whatever, you know, ends his pain. Then he basically dresses up in bum clothes. He sees a bum who doesn't like this pharmacist who keeps fucking with him, and he basically wishes that this guy dies. He takes care of him, kills him. And the djinn, he basically goes to this medical facility for school or whatever, starts skinning parts of different people from cadavers, puts it on his skin so he can turn into a human, which is the human that you see on my teasers on Facebook and Twitter. I know a lot of people are like, who the fuck is that? That's not Wishmaster. that's him in human form when he's in disguise, because they can transform and shit, you know? And basically the kid that walked in on it, he basically said he didn't want to see it, so did his eyes. From there on, he went to go and get a new suit. So he gets a suit, and this chick is trying to kind of flirt with him, and he basically mixes up her words and says, oh, if you want to be beautiful forever, just say it. She says it, and then he's like, okay, done. Turns her to a mannequin, has her soul. And while this is all going on, while he's taking souls and killing people, the main character, Alexandria, she sees everything that's going on. It's like flashback. And at the same time, she's seeing the flashback, she's also trying to figure out, okay, what the fuck is a djinn? So she goes to Robert Englund. You see more of Robert Englund. He explains about the forgotten gods and who the djinn was. And then basically leads her to this other lady that knows more about Persian mythology. And little by little, the djinn kind of follows her and stalks her. And basically, not eliminates, but gets to people that know her little by little. Until towards the end, when she basically meets them face to face. And, my favorite line from that movie is where she basically says, okay, well, if you're a genie, I want you to kill your fucking brains, or blow your brains out, kill yourself, right? He's like, okay, I'll give you this one for free. He does it, then he basically tells her the rules of the djinn, how they have to follow it. Which was really crazy, because it really falls down to the old school mythology and how it was told, you know? And so she basically wasted 2 wishes, wanted to know who he is. So she basically is transformed into the jewel and everything. She sees his whole hell and all that, and he tells her what he is and things like that. And so the whole story goes that she tries to escape, then says, okay, I'm back. I wish I was back in my apartment. 2 wishes down, and then it leads to this big climax where Robert Englund's throwing this party, and it was supposed to be a party for his actual statue that was destroyed and got the djinn free, right? So she's running, and they have a lot of little winks, you know. Basically, her car stopped. He breaks the window and says, going my way. If you're not a Twilight fan, or not Twilight, what the hell I say? I meant Twilight Zone, right? Stupid movie. Twilight Zone had an episode on that, you know, and it was basically a wink. This whole movie was a wink to the horror community, which was really crazy and cool. That's why I think it still holds up to this day. But anyways, the whole story goes, she goes to the party, she meets up with Tony Todd. Tony Todd, he basically is like the doorman. He prevents the jinn from coming through. Then basically he puts him in like a Harry Houdini trap with the straitjacket and the water. He's already in there talking to Robert Englund, and he's talking about how he wishes he had a party that everybody will remember. And then everybody basically goes through, you know, all the Wishmaster's bullshit, you know. The piano comes alive and wraps around Robert Kurtzman and rips his head off. Or somebody turns into glass and then they blast in shards. All the statues come alive, and they basically try to force the main character, Alexandria, to make her last wish. And this is the only thing that kills the film. And if you've seen this film, you're gonna say the same shit. So I want to know your guys' opinions and thoughts. Put it in the comments below. Let me know, because this is what killed the film for me for a long time. She basically read all the notes of when the accident happened and things like that. And her final wish was, I wish that worker wasn't drunk on this day. And he had to give her her wish. And when he gave her her wish, basically that wished him away to go back in time, to go back into the jewel, and nothing had ever happened, and everybody lives a perfect life. And she's the only one that remembers everything because that was her wish, you know? And that's how the film ends. Overall, it was a good film. It's a great film because of, you know, you have a lot of horror genre things into it, and it basically has a lot of winks to it. And I love the fact that it had the Twilight Zone winks. You had all the horror cameos from everybody. I didn't even get into the fact of Kane Hodder, how he was in it. Kane Hodder was a security guard, and basically the djinn was like, okay, I need to see this guy. I want to find out where Alexandria lives. He's like, well, I don't give a shit about you. Get the fuck out of here, you know? And he was like, no, I have to get in. And then Kane Hodder basically hung himself where he's like, oh, I'd love to see you go through me. And I wish that would happen, or something like that, you know? So the djinn turns around and basically molds him into the glass, walks through the glass, it breaks into shards, and Kane Hodder dies. I mean, you don't see too many films where it has a lot of, you know, horror icon characters in it. I mean, at that time you didn't in 1997 because of, you know, in the 90s you had a lot of, that was the down years, like the mid to late 90s, that was the down years of horror. There wasn't too many good horror films. It was just the random one and dones and shit. But this film was really good because it had a lot of different things to it. Robert Kurtzman, he did a damn good job, not only of directing, telling the story, but he also did the makeup. And he basically went uncredited for the makeup and all that because he's a big makeup artist himself, you know. And I don't blame him. That's pretty cool. You know, he didn't want to give all the glory to himself, so he gave it around. Okay, I see that. And then after that film came out, it was kind of silent for a while. It wasn't until 2001 they started filming it. Then 2002 came out, and they basically released the second one. The first one was released in theaters, and it was this big-ass hype because Wes Craven presented it. And it was mixed reviews at the time, so that's why when they did the second one, it went straight to DVD. That's why if you go to like the video stores, maybe even at Walmart, you can see like in the $5 bin, you see the first one and the second one together because that's how they released it. And well, anyways, the second one, it basically starts right after the first one. So I guess the second one starts off where you don't see Robert Englund, but it's implied that he gets rid of the Ahura Mazda statue. And these people, they go into a museum and they try to rob it. Well, anyways, while they're shooting the cops miss and breaks apart the statue and the jewel comes out. So the guy steals the jewel. He gets shot, one of the robbers, and he basically wakes up the djinn and tells basically the same thing from the first one. I wish I was never born. I don't want this pain. So he turns the guy, you know, a little bit at a time, all the way down till he was a baby, till he was nothing. Then the djinn is fully charged, wakes up, has his soul. And, you know, a cop tells him freeze, and he tells him, okay, is that what you want? Yeah, okay. He freezes the cop and everything and falls apart or whatever. And then eventually he turns into his human form, which they never really explained how he turned into a human form from the first one, but go figure, right? If that never happened. But anyways, they went into, he was arrested, the djinn, and he was sent to prison, which was like, wow, that's really cool how they did that. Okay, you know, I can see where this little twist is going. Well, the other bank robber, she gets away, and she starts having flashbacks like the main character in the first one. And basically the whole thing is with this one is that the djinn, they change up the story of the djinn on this one, which is they change up the story saying she needs to set him free, fulfill the prophecy. They don't explain what the fulfill the prophecy is because they never said in the first one, but basically fulfilling the prophecy in the second one was make your 3 wishes, right? And so he's in prison, the djinn, and I love this one because it has a lot of different cameos from different people. Well, not as much as the first one, but you have a couple cameos from famous actors. And anyways, you have, he's in prison, and basically he's feeding off all these people's wishes, you know? People that wish, oh, you know, I want to walk through these doors, or not through these doors, I want to walk through these bars. And if you're a genie, get me free, right? So this guy was fucking with him in the prison cell. He's like, alright, done. And this is one of the best scenes in the movie. He basically grabs the guy, well, uses his powers, pushes the guy to the bar, and forces the guy to break all of his bones and push right through the jail cell. I was like, what the hell? I mean, brutal as shit, but oh man, I'm a gore guy, and that was a damn good scene. And anyways, well, that's going on. Then basically she starts freaking out, the chick who robbed the museum and everything. So she goes to an old friend who ends up being a pastor. And this, to me, it kind of watered it down. I really didn't like how they did this, but they tied a little bit of religion into it, saying he was a demon and this and that, and you know, that whole thing, and you gotta believe in God and do all that. And so, well, that's going on her side. She's learning about religion, changing her ways and all that. The djinn's still inside prison, and he's basically feeding off everybody. He befriends this Russian guy, and this Russian guy goes, hey, I believe you, you know? And basically, he starts feeding the people who wants wishes. And all these wishes that he's granting, you know, the djinn, he basically tells the Russian guy that he's friends with, hey, I need these people to keep making wishes because I need 1,000 souls to be free. Which is weird, because they never did that in the first film, saying he needed 1,000 souls, but go figure, right? So, he gets up enough souls, and there's another big guy in the prison who's fucking with him, and basically says, okay, this is my turf. What the fuck are you doing? I want my cut, right? So he basically takes care of that guy, and the main guard that's in this movie, he's he's what's his name? I don't know the actor's name, but he played Debo on Friday, and he was a real wrestler. He played in that movie No Holds Bar, Zeus, the wrestler, you know, or Debo from Friday. Well, anyways, he's the main prison guard, and I thought it was just badass because he basically was just going toe to toe with him all the time. You're always fucking in my yard, blah 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 blah, you know, all that shit, and basically the djinn gets away from prison with the Russian guy because the guard basically says, I wish I could dance with you Compton style for 3 minutes. So basically he gives him his wish, puts him in a cell, both of them, and he's in his true form. Kills Debo, takes his skin, and turns into Debo, and basically him and the Russian guy break out. And, you know, the Russian guy, he doesn't ask for a wish, or I think he asked for 1 or 2 or whatever, but it wasn't until this scene, and when the boss comes, because he's part of a Russian mafia, and says, I don't like this motherfucking boss, he's a dick, and he was like, okay, well, let's see if we can fuck with him, and that way I can take his spot in the mob, and basically wish the guy to become the main enemy, and it just, yeah, it was a little weird with that. And so, while that's going on, basically, the pastor, the robber's friend, you know, the chick, I forgot her name, it's not Alexandria, Alexandria was the first one. But anyways, the whole story goes is that they're trying to learn about religion, who the djinn is, and then they're trying to figure out why the hell he's fucking with them. And he basically, the djinn says, I'll come when I'm ready for you. So, whole story goes, the djinn breaks free, he gets what he wants, he's not satisfied, and so he says, I need more souls. So the Russian guy says, why don't you buy a casino? So this is pretty cool. You know, he goes to a jail cell, then he goes to Vegas and has his own casino. So the story was kind of all over the place. And in the second one, basically, he was feeding off everybody's souls. And the chick and her friend, the pastor friend, they go and they finally see the djinn, and they finally confront him. Basically, he tortures her friend that she starts to build a relationship with again, you know. And she starts finally asking for her wishes because she finally understood, okay, this is how the djinn works. He feeds off the corruptions of things. And everyone's making their wish, and I thought another good scene in this movie was, I forgot the actor, but I know he's a well-known actor. I wish this nightmare be over. And then basically shuts down all the doors in the casino. Then you see the roulette wheels turning all crazy and shit and everything. Cutting up people, the balls are going out, killing people. I don't know if Robert Kurtzman did any of the makeup on the second one, or if he had anything to do with it, but the second one was good. Yeah, I mean, it had a lot better death scenes than the first one. So the whole story goes that she basically wishes the guy who made that wish, she wanted to see how his life was, his family. She sees his family and everything, then she basically reads the same thing from the Jewel, Nib, Sugaroth Bahim, basically the same thing from the first film that says, okay, get in the Jewel, and that's how they defeat the Jinn. End of part 2. I know the first 2 I got really detailed, but I'm going to tell you right now, those 2 were the best. It was the same actor that played the Jinn in the first one and the second one, Andrew Divoff. When they got to the third one I think came out in 2005, 2006. That one was whole stupid. It was a different actor, lower budget, way off lower budget, and he was a professor, or played a professor, that was helping kids, and basically he was feeding off the kids' wishes of, like, wanting to do good in school, be successful, right? And I don't know how the whole story went. I'd probably seen it once or twice, but I was just like, what the hell? They completely butchered it, right? So that's part 3. I said I wasn't going to get too detailed on 3 or 4. If you guys seen 3 or 4 and liked it, or hate it, let me know in the comments below, because those 2 weren't my cup of tea. That's not the Jinn I remember, right? Part 4 was even dumber. And it's dumb to me because they basically try to humanize the Jinn and basically, like, say he has to fall in love. He has to find a bride. And once he marries that bride, it opens the portal. So every one, they changed the story. You know? They basically said, okay, well, first you need to have the main person who releases you get their 3 wishes and you're free. Then part 2 says, okay, you need 1,000 souls plus those 3 wishes. Okay. Part 3 didn't really explain what he needed, other than the fact he needed 3 wishes, so I kind of went back to the roots of the first one. Part 4 was so stupid, he had to fall in love, and then they had, part 4, then they had this guy who was chasing him, he's a Jinn hunter. Right, I know. I didn't know there was an occupation for that, but okay. But, you know, the whole story with the Wishmaster series, if you've never seen it, I say give it a shot. For the first one, you'll love it. Second one, you'll kind of be like, okay, I can see the extension on this. Part 3 and 4, I'm going to tell you from my experience, don't waste your time on it unless you want to see a really bad horror film. Usually they play it a lot on Sci-Fi Channel because I think it was Sci-Fi Channel that produced it, because during that time, Sci-Fi, they were pushing out sequels for things. They did Pumpkinhead 3 and 4, which was really odd, and I think they even did a 5th one. But I know for a fact they they kind of butchered it a little bit when they went, and it's like with every franchise. They get watered down, you know. But what I liked about the first 2 films is the first film was very true to the roots of the Jinn from the Persian mythology. The second one, they basically changed the setting and made it more, like, not demented, but more dark, which was really cool. I mean, the fact that the Jinn was in prison with a bunch of these bad people who want nothing but wishes to hurt people or harm people or to get their ways of greed, corruption. He fed off that. That was really cool. The fact that he also opened up a casino, which is kind of like a legal prison in a way. You know, people wish for things and stuff like that. It took the whole story to a new level. So that's why I think part 2 was really good. And in comparison to part 1. Part 3 and 4, but, you know, I don't know. It was very different. And then when they did part 2, 3, and 4, they took out all the wings to horror films and all the horror genres. What I love about the first one, you had, like, the Twilight Zone reference, like I said. Then you had references to all the other horror actors who've contributed to horror. Robert Englund, who was Freddy Krueger. Tony Todd, who was Candyman. Kane Hodder, who was fucking Jason. You know, the list goes on. You have Greg Kurtzman, who was basically, he wasn't well known for his work as a director or anything like that, but he was well known for doing horror movie effects and makeup effects and stuff like that. That's how he built up his name. And also, too, you had Wes Craven, who was out there promoting the shit out of this film, who's just one of the other masters of horror. So, I mean, The Wishmaster was really good for what it was. And the second one, the second one, they obviously they had no returning actors other than the main guy, Andrew Divoff, who played the Djinn, and he's just a great actor for what he was. The fact I was looking up and doing my research and all my notes and shit, and basically the fact when he got the deeper voice when he tried to go into the Djinn voice, it was actually his own voice. He knows how to like monotone his voice to be like, as you wish, give me your 3 wishes, that kind of thing. And it was pretty cool. Like, I thought, okay, maybe they did voice boxed over or whatever, but no, they actually, that was his real voice. That tripped me out, And like I said, me being Middle Eastern, knowing about the whole Djinn and the whole mythology and mystique behind it, this film really played into it. And the film was released, the first one was 1997, so now we're in, 2018? So 21 years ago. That's when this film had first came out. And after, I want to say around 2003, 2004, when the second one had just came out, then they kind of started considering him as like a horror icon, which is pretty cool and great, by the way, because it's he was different. He really was. The Djinn, he was a one and done kind of guy. He was on his own, and they never really said his motivation was. He basically wanted to bring hell on Earth. That was his only motivation. Later on in the stories, he wanted to bring other Djinns, and they never explained the whole series of that. But I don't know. It's different. It's unique. And there's also rumors going around, and the rumor is they want to remake this film. Surprise, right? They want to remake this film, but I don't think they can ever remake it like with Robert Kurtzman's ideas and the way how he did it. It's it was the 90s. It was great for what it was. That's like someone trying to remake Scream. I mean, Scream 4 was great because it was a sequel. It tied everything in. But if you try to remake something and catch lightning in a bottle twice, that's... I don't know. But let me know what you guys think about the Djinn. Do you like the Djinn? Was the Wishmaster one of your favorites? Was it one of those ones that you forgot about? Because the whole series gets shuffled in. Everybody remembers the first one. Everybody that I've talked to, they know about the second one. Everyone that I've said, okay, hey, have you seen the whole series, 3 and 4, and heard about the remake rumors? Everyone's like, what the fuck? There's actually a 3 and 4? Yeah, there's a 3 and 4. I want to say it was last year, March of 2017, actually, March 2017. I think it was Scream Factory or one of these other companies. They did a special Blu-ray because the movie had never been released on Blu-ray. They did a Blu-ray release of all 4 films, and I almost got it because the cover art was badass. I love the first one, I love the second one, but it includes all 4 films, and I'm just like, $10 a film. I would love to pay $20 for the first 2, right off the bat on Blu-ray, but for 3 and 4, it's that's kind of a hard sell for me. That really is. I know you guys are probably thinking, what the fuck, that's not right, you're bashing it. I'm not bashing it. I'm giving you my opinion on it. If you guys love it, don't let me ruin the series for you for part 3 or part 4. But when I saw part 3 and part 4, it wasn't as, to me, it didn't stick out with me. It wasn't my cup of tea, Not to bash or anything, but I love the first 2. I was very brief on 3 and 4 for y'all because I'm going to save it later on because I had couple ideas on some different episodes, and one of them is, sequels you should or shouldn't see. I'm thinking about that. So we'll see. But my next episode is just going to be just as entertaining. I don't want to spoil it too much, but has to involve with, don't want to give it away. I'm trying to think of how I can throw the hint out to you guys, right? Let's just say it's a great collection. Wink, wink, right? But thanks for tuning in for this episode on the Wishmaster. Hope you all enjoyed it. I'm anxious to hear your guys' thoughts. See if you remember the Djinn. See if you remember the whole Wishmaster series. What you love about it, what you hate about it. If you love the 3rd and 4th one, if you hated the 3rd and 4th one, let me know. I mean, I'm always on here. I'm a one-man show. All your messages, comments go straight to me, the SaWGuy, the one and only, right? But thank y'all for tuning in. I'll catch you on episode 15 next time, alright?